Hello everybody, welcome back to Book Bar and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be going over my May end of month wrap up. I posted a mid-month wrap up in first half of the month. I will link it up above. I don't know which one. But there in the first half of the month I read 20 books. In the second half of the month I read 15 books for a total of 35 books. I can do math. But if you're new here, if this is your first time, the way I do my wrap-ups is I go in order of the books, how I finished them. So it might not necessarily be how I started them, but it's how I finished them. So the first book that I finished in the month, or in the second half of May, was City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the first book in the David Bad trilogy, and I absolutely loved this. I read it for a secret reading vlog that's coming out soon. So I'm not going to say a ton about it because I will post that later, but I did love this. It follows a girl named Nari who is living in Cairo, I believe, and one day she summons a jinn warrior and he takes her to the city of David, and there she meets a prince and all sorts of crazy things happen. And I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was, and I'm really excited to continue on in the series. The next book that I finished in the month was Nikolai by Sophie Lark. This is the 6th book in the Underworld series. It's a mafia romance, and I enjoyed this one a lot. I liked it more than Anton. So this follows Nikolai and Nadia. And Nadia, something happened in the previous book to someone in her family, and so she ends up leaving Paris to go to Moscow to see like where her mom came from and like learn more about her past. And this takes her on this wild journey where she ends up falling for a rival mafia family, the son of a rival mafia family, Nikolai. She is engaged going into this, but there is no cheating. Just know that there is no cheating. But if you're concerned, she is engaged at the beginning, but her fiance sucks and they break up well before anything happens. But I really loved this, and I gave this one 4 stars. 4.5. And I gave City of Brass 5 stars. Then the next book that I finished in the month, or in the second half of the month, was Flynn Donovan Knocks Him Dead by El Casamano. This is the second book in the Flynn Donovan world. There will be a third one coming out next year. And so I can't really say much about this because it literally picks up after the events of the first book. And so things that happened in that one directly play and role in this one. It was great fun. It was super cute. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, just like the last one. There was just some parts that were kind of like a little too over the top. I mean, I know it's supposed to be over the top, but there were some parts that I was just like, dial it back a little. But I still really enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. Then I read The Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate by Kate C. Wells. This is another one that I read for a vlog that's coming out. And this book has the ultimate grovel in it. So it's fated mates, but instead of it being a fated mate, it's a rejected mate. This Una, she's an injured. She has she had gotten in an accident when she was younger, and so her leg is not perfect. Like, she walks with a limp and everything, and her wolf she's never shifted. Her wolf has never made an appearance. And one day she's working as a cook. She's like one of the lowest of the low, like in terms of like the hierarchy. She's serving food, and this girl is rubbing up on the alpha, Killian, and all of a sudden she is like, nope, that's my man, that's my mate, that's my guy. And he doesn't believe it because he doesn't believe that that's his mate, because usually when you have a mate, you figure it out like pretty early on, like when they're in high school or, you know, young, 17, 18, and she's 28 and he's like 30, and they have never had mating issues, like never felt the mating. And yeah, he rejects her in front of everyone, and she goes and sees the switch, and the switch is like, I can take that mating bond right out of you. And of course he's like, nope, don't, I love you, I'm sorry, please, I am your mate. But yeah, it was great. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was just a little I mean, I love a slow burn, and I felt like this was a little too slow burn. Like, there was so much that happened, like, and got them close, and then all of a sudden it was like, nope, reeling it back. So, I didn't love that. So, I gave it 4.5 stars. Then, I read Chasing Cassandra by Elise Kleypas. Gorgeous. This is Cassandra and Tom Severin. This is the 5th book? 7th book? 5th book. No, 6th book. I can count. This is the 6th book in the Ravenel series. I've started the next book, which is considered the last. This one's kind of the last because she's the last. Cassandra's the last Ravenel. And I enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. This is probably one of my one of the like lower in terms of like liking Elise Kleypas books. This is probably one that I don't like quite as much. Tom Severin is a self-made man, and obviously Cassandra Ravenel she's plus size. She doesn't look like it on this, but she's a plus size heroine, and he meets her and is like instantly attracted to her, and there's this whole craziness that happens, but basically he keeps trying to push her away and push her away and push her away, and finally someone ruins her, like completely ruins her reputation, and he ends up marrying her. There was a scene where her and Tom Severin are in like a room debating over them getting married and things and what they need in their contract for marriage, and that scene was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I love the foiling on this cover, but 4 stars, probably my second least favorite, but I will be doing a full Ravenel's review soon. Then the next book that I read was Truly Madly by Stephen Galloway. This was about Vivian Leigh and Laurence Olivier and their romance that they had in like in the Golden Age, I think is what's called. My phone just stopped recording, but I was talking about reading Truly Madly by Stephen Galloway. It's about Vivian Leigh and Laurence Olivier and their romance, and it was a nonfiction book. I think had I known more about them and their relationship, I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit more, but it was fine. I had it was a good listen. It was interesting to learn about, and I'm excited to kind of learn more about them, but I gave it 4 stars. Then the next book that I finished was Parades by Sarah Kate. This is an age gap, ex-boyfriend's dad, dom sub, praise kink, romance, boss employee, forced proximity, all of the most delicious tropes. Oh, loved it. So Charlie just broke up with her boyfriend, and she wants her money for her half of the rent or the safety deposit on their apartment, and he goes and says, my dad has it, so you'll have to go get it from him. And she shows up to get the money, and the Emerson, who they've never met before, Emerson is like, why aren't you on your knees? And she's like, what? And he's like, well, you want your money, right? And because he thinks that it's his new secretary, and he has a thing where he likes to have a dom-sub relationship with the secretaries. So they're really embarrassed about this when he realizes that who she is, and then a lot of things happen from there, and it was just beautiful, and I really enjoyed it. My only gripe with it is that I kept comparing it to Birthday Girl, because a lot of ex-boyfriend's dad romances, like the dad's like, I don't care about my kid, but in both of Birthday Girl and this, they really do care about their kid and having a relationship with their son again. And so I just kind of kept comparing the two, and Birthday Girl is my favorite book of all time. So I gave this one 4.5 stars, but I still really enjoyed it. It was still great. I still suggest you go pick it up. Then the next book I finished was My Darling Duke by Stacey Reed. This was on my 22 books to read in 2022, and it lived up to the hype. I know Tori from Novel Life loves this book and has hyped it up until I wanted to read it, and I absolutely loved it. So Kitty wants to, she's a wallflower, part of the Sinful Wallflowers. I read the 3rd book in this series, which was one of her friends earlier this year, in January. I'll put my January wrap up. You can go check that out. But this is the 1st book. And so Kitty, she's a wallflower. She's like 23 and very poor. Like, she has no money. And she has 3 sisters who, I think it's 3. It's 2 or 3. My phone keeps stopping to record, but she has 3 sisters who are all coming out into society, and so they have no dowries or anything, so she decides to make up a little story and say that she is engaged to the Duke. She says she's engaged to the Duke of Thornton, who is very reclusive. Nobody knows about him, and he finds out, and he goes and is like, so we're engaged. And yeah, they end up having a fantastic romance, and I absolutely loved it. 5 stars. Then the next book I finished was The Charm Offensive by Allison Cochran. This is another book that I read. I'm reading for a vlog. And this was a male bachelor type romance. Charlie, is it Charlie? Yes. Charlie goes on to a show like The Bachelor and called Happily Ever After, I think. Or Ever After, something like that. And he goes onto it, and he ends up with this handler named Dave, and him and Dave have a really cute little romance. My biggest complaint about this was Dave is said to be Indian American, and there is no like hints at his culture other than him saying he's Indian American in his name. So that kind of bugged me. Plus, it was closed door. I'm not a big traditionally published closed door romance fan, but it was still really cute. I still really enjoyed it. It was a good, fun, queer romance. So if you're looking for that, especially going into June, which is Pride Month, it was a good time. I gave it 4 stars. Then I finished Tequila Kingdom by Alexandria Christo. Sorry if I'm talking really fast. I'm trying to get this done because my phone has now stopped recording 4 times, and I don't know why. But I finished Tequila Kingdom by Alexandria Christo, and this is a young adult Little Mermaid-esque retelling about Lyra and Elion. And Lyra is a siren, and Elion is a siren hunter / prince, and Lyra is considered the prince's bane. She kills princes. The first line of this book is just fantastic. It is, I have a heart for every year I've been alive, which just grips you. This was another book that was on my 22 books to read in 2022, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars. My only problem is I kind of wish it was longer. Like, I just felt like there was so much build up, and it all kind of ended really fast. So 4.5 stars, but I still really loved it. Definitely a book that I would suggest you picking up. Then I read Don't Hex and Drive by Juliet Cross. This is the second book in the Stay a Spell series. And this follows Isadora Savoy and Devraj Kumar, I believe is what his name is. And Isadora is a witch, and her sister is in the first book. And Dev. He is a vampire, and he comes to town to help Ruben, who's like the head of the vampires, solve this case about these missing humans. And of course, they fall in love. They have a not so meet cute where he hits her with his car, and they are instantly like, she's like, nope, not gonna do this. And he's like, but I love you. So yeah, it was great. It was really cute, really fun, 4.5 stars. The only reason I didn't give it 5 is because I didn't enjoy it quite as much as the first one. So I had to lower it down a little bit. But it's still a really good book, and I definitely suggest you pick it up. Then I reread ACOTAR. This is for the SJM-along, which I am a co-host for, and it's run primarily by Jen from the Book Refuge. And so I reread this. We're reading Sarah J. Maas's works in publication order. This was the next one published. So between Air of Fire and Queen of Shadows, ACOTAR was published. So we're reading it to see if there's how we can make connections to the 2 worlds, / 3 worlds, if you know. But this follows Feyre and Tamlin. Feyre kills a wolf, but turns out he's actually a fairy. She has to go live in the fairy realms. A bunch of crazy stuff happens. I'm sure you know what this is about. I will link our live show. It was so much fun talking about this book. We had a great time. And yeah, I gave this one 4.5 stars. The only reason it's only 4.5 is because I like the other books in the series more. But yeah, still a great book. Definitely suggest it. I mean, I had such a great time. I did not realize that Tamlin says one of my favorite quotes of the whole series, which is, "Don't feel bad for one moment about doing what brings you joy." I absolutely love that quote. And so, yeah, I tabbed it. Of course, had to go in, get all the fantastic little quotes. Then I reread the Kiss Quotient. This was for my rereading books from last year that were my favorites. I still really loved this. It's still a 5-star book, but I do not know if it's like an all-time fave. Like, compared to some of the books that I read this year, I don't know that I would put it in like an all-time favorite category, but I just really love it. I had a great time with it. This is Michael and Stella. Stella is on the autism spectrum. She has Asperger's, and she gets basically told that she needs to loosen up and learn how to be a good lay. And so she hires an escort, and that escort is Michael. And Michael basically tells her that all of the men that she slept with in the past are trash because they should have listened to her and read the signs of her body, and they did not. And Michael does not think that he is good enough for her. So it's a class difference in a modern setting, because she is very wealthy and has a fantastic job, and he is a art student who had to quit his fancy job working for a clothing designer to go help his family. And yeah, it was great. I still gave it 5 stars. I still really enjoy this book, but I don't know that I have quite the same feelings for it as I did the first time around. But still had a great time. I mean, I still tabbed it up, so Michael is still super swoony. The scene when she first meets his family is still super awkward, but I had a great time. Like I said, 5 stars. Then I read Run, Posey, Run by Kate Sewells. This is a mafia morality chain romance psychopath. Basically, Dario and Posey are in a relationship, and Posey gets home one day thinking Dario is going to propose, and turns out he got a tape of her getting railed. And she's like, "No, this is old. Look at my hair. Look at all this." Like, and he's like, "But look at the date. Like, this was recent. You're nothing but a bad name to call women, and I don't want to ever see you again. Get the hell out. Run." So she leaves, and then he realizes the error of his ways. He realizes that it was a doctored video. It's a video from when she was in high school, and he wants her back. And they kind of have this little like cat and mouse game. And then he goes and captures her and brings her back. And of course, he, as a psychopath, starts to realize, well, maybe I'm not a psychopath, maybe I'm just a sociopath, because I am starting to realize that I love this woman. And yeah, it was fun to see the lengths that he would go to for her once he had her back. And I gave it 4.5 stars. My only complaint was the end. I just felt like I mean, the first 80, so this was what my review said in my little reading journal. The first 80% of this book was 5-star material. The last 20% just seemed really jarring. I really enjoyed the whole story, though. I just felt like it was really jarring. I mean, it made sense to the story. I just didn't love it quite as much as others do. But yeah, it was 4.5 stars. Like I said, still a great book. Still really loved it. Then the last book that I read for May was Luca by Sophie Lark. This is the 7th book in the Underworld series, and this is my least favorite Sophie Lark book I read. I mean, I'm still going to give it 3.5 stars, but instead of rounding it up to 4, I'm rounding it down to 3 because it wasn't quite as good as others. This book is by far her shortest. It's only like 180 pages, so it's very much a novella, and I just felt like it was very choppy. Also, these books are the first books that Sophie wrote. The second 4 in the Underworld series, so books 5 through 8 are the first books that she wrote, and you can definitely see how much she's grown as a writer. It's still really fun. This was Luca and Lex. Lex is up there with Sloane as heroines go in the Underworld series. She's a badass, like, take no crap kind of girl. She's a thief. She does not give 2 F's about anything. And Luca and her are both thieves, and they run into each other on a heist trying to get this same piece of jewelry. They're both going after it for different reasons, and they end up in a heist. And this book had 3 POVs, and I think it didn't it makes sense when you know what the next book is, but I just felt like it really hindered my enjoyment of the story. But like I said, it's still a good book. I still give 3 stars, or 3.5 stars. Just not the best Sophie Lark book I've ever read. So yeah, those are the 15 books that I read in the second half of the month. I'm sorry if this video is super choppy. My camera decided to just stop recording like 4 times throughout. I don't know why. So yeah, those are the books that I read. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these, what you think of them, if you have. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps me out. And I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!